Dear unknown friend, the card, the Pope, puts us in the presence of the act of benediction. It is essential to have this in mind when one undertakes the interpretation not only of the structure of the whole card, but also of each of its particular elements. One should therefore never lose from sight that in the first place it is a matter of benediction and everything associated with it. No matter who the Pope may be, or who the acolytes kneeling before him are, and no matter what the two columns behind the Pope signify, and no matter what his tiara and the triple cross he is holding symbolize. What is benediction? What is its source and its effect? Who has the authority to bestow benediction? What role does it play in the spiritual life of humanity?
A little bit further down, he puts a really nice fine point on it. He says, it is the putting into action of divine power, transcending individual thought and will of the one who is blessed, as well as the one who is pronouncing the blessing. In other words, it is essentially a sacerdotal act.
Yeah. And then it's just jam-packed.
So benediction always involves a transcendent will.
Yeah, and I mean, just right after that, he says that it's an ascending in the Kabbalah. It's an ascending and a descending.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting that from there he goes right into the whole idea of prayer as respiration.
Yeah. He says there are two kinds of respiration: horizontal respiration, which takes place between outside and inside, and vertical respiration, which takes place between above and below. The sting of death, or the essential crisis of the supreme agony, is the abrupt passage from horizontal for vertical respiration. And then he goes on to explain about how the practice of prayer is part of what it does is that it prepares you to take away that sting of death, because you've accustomed yourself to spiritual breathing. So you've learned to die before you die.
Yeah, and something you said, Nate, reminds me of Bulgakov. He talks about our economies now are based on death.
Yeah.
He looks forward to the future of a sociological economy that would be based on life.
Mm-hmm.
And Tomberg does a similar thing here on page 101 when he says, true effort of the will, that is 100% effort, true work, is also a prayer. When it is intellectual work, it is prayer. Hallowed be thy name. When it is creative effort, it is prayer. Thy kingdom come. When it is work with a view to supplying for the material needs of life, it is prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. And all these forms of prayer in the language of work have their corresponding benedictions or graces.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah. It's the sociology of work.
Yeah.
The intention is to bring benediction.
Yes.
Along with it, right? And healing. I just gave a course last weekend on biodynamic farming and gardening as Christian path, and it was kind of one of the themes. Is in fact, he even touches it on here that the blood of Christ touching the earth, Golgotha, transforms the earth, and that in a way, as a farmer, you're working with that energy. You kind of have an obligation to treat it in a sacred manner.
Exactly.